Welcome to Overtime on Inferno, your weekly roundup of all the biggest stories in CSGO. Quicker than Valve can release Source 2. And if you ever could have guessed one of those intros before we did it, this would have been the one. This week was a fucking lab.
I even wore a basketball jersey to prove it was a layup.
Yeah. You can please rate and review us before the end of the episode. It really helps us. Plus, if this comes out when I think it does, and it should be coming out on Thursday, we're recording on Thursday. We'll explain why in a second. There should be a giveaway on Twitter having to do with getting a new pair of SteelSeries headphones. If you will follow the pod and listen to an episode, just go on the TLDR Twitter, which we'll shout out again at the episode, which is @RateTLDR, and do that, and you can get stuff.
Unless you don't like free stuff, in which case,
yeah,
you're a fool.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm Logan. This is Aizyesque. That's the end of the intro. Let's get into it. Yeah, there should be a giveaway out. And trust us when we say that we use a lot of SteelSeries products, and we both very much like them. So like, yeah, my SteelSeries headset's at my work desk in the other room, but like, I actually
I have mouse, keyboard, and headset. So
I have like 3 SteelSeries headsets.
I'm also wearing SteelSeries underwear.
Oh shit, man! You got the SteelSeries underwear. Damn. All right. So, quick explanation of why we're recording on Thursday. We recorded yesterday, and then everything got corrupted half an hour into it. So we're gonna try and go through this stuff again, and hopefully repeat everything we repeated yesterday. But
maybe with more. Who knows?
Maybe with more. So as we did last week and the week before, and how our new format works, we're gonna start with a couple of rapid fire stories, and then we will get into our main story, which, as you probably guessed, is Group B and C of ESL Pro League. To start with the rapid fire stories, we will start with our ESL Impact piece. With first the announcement of G2. Which is the Giuliano and Zaz team. They are coming from G2 Gozen, which is their Valorant roster, over back to Counter-Strike, which is a dub.
Although they didn't get a dub in their first 2 games, I think.
Oh, they've played.
They've played and they've lost, pretty sure. Because I think it would be a good thing for the scene if they did lose. Because if Zaz, Giuliano, and Krasi came back and just like smacked everyone, it'd be like, we haven't got any better. Yeah, they lost to Navi Javelins 2-1.
Good. That's a
yesterday.
good thing.
It is a good thing.
I actually think that G2 Oya losing is... Yeah, I agree with you. That's probably a good thing, because it shows that everyone that left for Valorant, it's not, you can just come back and be good.
Yeah. And Giuliano and Zaz are a few years older. Like, the game should have progressed, and it seems like it has. Navi Javelins, quite mechanically gifted as well. I'll say that.
So this is all around dub. We are good applause for G2 here. There is another Impact thing though.
There's a couple other. There's Guild announced their team. Guild being, I believe, David Beckham's organization.
It is. Former Draken used to play for them about 7,000 years ago. In
Valorant, right?
And in Counter-Strike. I think they
had really? Oh, okay.
They went from one to the other.
But yeah. Yeah, they announced a Scandinavian team, and FURIA are losing Olga to, I believe, HSG.
Yeah.
Which is strange because I don't know. I wasn't aware that I mean, I'm pretty sure not everyone on HSG does speak English. So I have to ask, but I think there's only 2 of them that do.
Let's get some ground rules off the line. First of all, FURIA Impact team is like top 2 Impact teams in the world.
Yeah.
Strong reason for that is because of Olga.
Yeah.
HSG is not. They're not bad.
Like 4th or 5th, I think.
Yeah. They're not bad.
It's not
like a huge step down, but they're not one of the top 2 teams in the world.
It might be now.
Well, yeah, I have some speculation about why this happened, and this is my personal speculation. HSG doesn't have a non-Impact team that's good.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
The reason I say that is because the FURIA female team can't participate in the South American RMR, or in the Americas RMR, whatever the fuck it's called today.
Whereas HSG what? That's a good point.
HSG will be competing.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So FURIA, normal FURIA, has the RMR spot, and both teams from the org can't participate. So only one team. It's the same reason that EG can only send one team. So HSG has their female team going, and that means that HSG, the Impact team, can actually play to make it to the major from Asia, which, like, that's a region you could actually make it to. Like,
I will say they got gooved by Tyloo when they played in the RMR qualifier. But
yeah, but now we're adding Olga.
It'll help, but I don't know how much it'll help.
It'll be interesting. It makes the HSG being in the Asian RMR was interesting to start with. This makes it more interesting.
I'd like to see either Anna or Olga play in like a tier 3 like male team for like 6 months and see what happens, because I'm just intrigued. I'd like to know.
I think that this experiment has happened before and it didn't go well. I think Giuliano played with like
I think you might be right.
I also think that was a couple years ago when everything was a little different.
I also don't think Giuliano's as good as Anna.
No, I don't disagree, but it was at Giuliano when she was far and away considered the best player in Counter-Strike, and wasn't.
I do think Anna is quite a bit better, and I think there's a chance she could actually like be a very good player.
No disagreement. I'm excited to see what happens. I hope that the ESL Impact circuit gives somebody a chance on a non-Impact team.
It'd be a really interesting experiment, because obviously Anna is only going to be bottlenecked by the fact that she's clearly just too good for the level she's at. I don't know if you saw Harry's doppelganger piece.
Yes, I did, but I don't remember who the comparison was.
It was Shiro, but it was more that her radar was just an octagon. The radar was just full on everything. She like pretty much like what Monacy was at academy level is what Anna is at Impact level.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who's going to take it, because it's not really a question of like, will somebody do it? Someone's going to do it at one point. Whether it's Anna or whether it's some other prospect that comes up through Impact, there's going to be someone who one team is going to go, you know what? First of all, this will be a great PR boost. And second of all, they may just be really fucking good.
So there are two big barriers I see to it. One is that it's like a politic thing. Like, I don't know if you've played in the same 5, like just pugged with the same 5 for any extended period of time. Like, you have disagreements. You have like, there are people you play with, you're like, oh, these little things annoy me. And I think with mixed gender teams, I think those politics can get a little bit weird. It's hard to say it's hard for me to articulate exactly what I mean, but the way that you can deal with things like different people are different around people of other genders, like your personality changes slightly, and I think certainly in the sphere in which we exist, people are probably do change a bit more and probably don't feel quite as comfortable playing with a girl as they do with with a dude for whatever reason. And the other is what's in it for Anna, because if Anna switches over, doesn't play well, it's like
it's a risk.
It's a risk for her, whereas she can just be the best and almost certainly the highest paid player in Impact for as long as she wants.
Just one more thing here that has nothing to do with Counter-Strike, but shout out to Potter, the former CLG Red player who's now coaching EG Valorant and is the only female coach in, as far as I'm aware, Tier 1 Valorant. So
I just don't know.
I'm just, well, it was on my mind because I was thinking about old women's Counter-Strike when Giuliano was like really good, and then it brought me to CLG Red, and then okay, don't worry about it.
I learned yesterday that Potter is like remarkably tall.
Yes.
I don't know why, I just never assumed, just never crossed my mind. And I saw a picture of her and I was like, oh, she's remarkably tall.
Okay.
No comment on that. I just didn't know.
I want to talk about score first. we have two like major roster moves here that I want to talk about. We'll talk about Score first. Score is leaving IHC.
Yep.
Note that we use the word leaving and not use the word kicked, replaced, booted.
Even though that does appear to be what has happened, because he says it's not his decision.
Yeah. But more of like, he didn't leave. So yeah, he put an Instagram story up that said, "Leaving is not my decision, by the way," among other words. And main take.
That is how sentences formed.
Yes, well, there are other words in other sentences here. Actually, I'm not sure "fellas" is a word, but sure.
Yeah, it is.
So Score leaves IHC. Some important bits on this, covering this quickly. IHC has been playing with a stand-in throughout their good performance the last 2 months at Katowice, and their okay-ish performance at Pro League, depending on how much you actually rated them in that group. They've been playing with a stand-in. Cabal just became a father, so Bartak has been standing in for him. So the original thought that I think everyone assumed was that Bartak would be leaving the team once Cabal was ready to come back.
Yeah.
This move suggests that that's probably not true.
Yeah, because they can't pick up a player from Eruption or NKT who would be the obvious candidates because of like RMR. Like this is right before the major, and those rosters have both played in the like major qualifiers or in the RMR, so like you can't probably steal one of those for the major. So it's going to be, I would imagine it'll be Cabal in for Score. Cabal moved to slightly better roles, quote unquote. Bartak will maintain what used to be Cabal's roles, which are the real
shit
support
roles, yeah.
7 and 15 roles. And they clearly think Cabal is a better player than, or at least this is my interpretation. They think Cabal is a better player than Score. Cabal played the worst roles because he played them better than Score. Now they found Bartak to do the shit roles. Cabal will just step into Score's roles, and they think that's an upgrade.
Yeah.
Time will tell. I don't think it is.
Big things on this, like, honest to God, this is changing 4th or 5th player.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we're not, and the IHC's success recently has not been on the back of Bartak or really Score.
No, it's largely been Techno.
Annihilation.
Annihilation is a good clutcher. I don't think he's a great AWPer, whereas Techno is a beast.
Either way, them winning has not been off the back of Score. And so this doesn't really make a huge change to me on them going, oh, we're going to be a better team. We're going to be a more put together team or something like that. The only point that I can see of this like actually really helping is if we hit something along the lines of like Score maybe was secondary IGLing and now Cabal will, or
I think Cabal is the normal IGL. I think.
Yeah.
So I think they're bringing him in to lead, and they prefer Bartak over Score. I think, but I'm not sure.
So my guess is this has to do something with calling. That could be that's my only realistic explanation of why remove Score instead of the player you brought in for this guy. Is that something to do with calling? Because this is not I'm gonna bring in Monazi to G2 and that's gonna be a huge step up, right? Like we're not doing that. This is
what I will say is I'm just happy that my man Son of Hero Hard Steel, that's Bartak's real name, translates as Son of Hero Hard Steel, and he is getting to play some more, which is great because his name is Son of Hero Hard Steel. Do you know how great that is?
That's a pretty good name. That may be the best name in Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
That may overtake DAPS.
Because I tweeted, I think this is the best name in Counter-Strike, and a Mongolian guy said, yeah, it translates to Son of Hero Hard Steel, and I was like, please tell me you're not joking. He said, no, I'm dead serious. This is amazing.
I mean, like, the best prior name was DAPS, which is Damian Steele, which is just super villains.
It's Robin Cool. It's Robin Cool. His name's Cool.
It's with a K.
That's even better. Robin Cool.
It's definitely top 3. Does Man of Steel or Hard Steel or whatever overtake that? I think so.
My favorite bit of Son of Hero Hard Steel is that his dad was called Hero and was like, everyone needs to know this. So I'm going to call my son Son of Hero. Amazing.
Wait, so his dad is Hero Hard Steel?
Presumably.
We need his dad to be a coach. We need some like encore level shit from Australia with like Ben the
he's
Savage.
Ben Legend, yeah. He's just Hero the Hero.
I love it. Okay, other roster move that happened. Speaking of Australia, if you heard our podcast last week about Sprout and the utter mismanagement in which is Sprout and how Sprout has just been all over the place with Refresh, and you heard our quick conversation about, well, there aren't really that many IGLs that speak English well enough to do an international roster, we'd like to apologize because, of course, how could we have not seen AZR joining Sprout as he hasn't played an official match in about a year and a half?
Oh, what? He played as a stand-in at the end of 2022, I believe. But he left Extremum like a year and a half, 2 years ago. That was when he was like last decent.
Yeah, it was October 2021. He was benched from Extremum, which is technically the last time you could call them a decent team.
Yeah.
But so, realistically, it's been a bit.
I mean, I was never that big on AZR as a IGL anyway. But I will say Sprout are usually quite good when it comes to picking players up. Their scouting seems to be pretty good. I mean, their scouts found Laux, who's very good, found Stare, gambled on Xiphon. I mean, Jello's time will tell, and I think everyone in Tier 3 kind of knew how good he was at that level. But, like, Stare and Laux kind of came from nowhere, and they're both very, very good. They have been trialing different in-game leaders for a while. Berry seems to know what he's doing as a coach. I mean, you can't know for sure, but he's got some idea, I think. If they think AZR is the guy, even though he's barely played in the last 2 years, year and a half, I'll remain skeptical, but for now, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
So they played yesterday while we recorded. They lost 2-0 to Ecstatic, and they won 2-1 against Apex.
Yeah.
Which puts them directly in the middle of Tier 2 European Counter-Strike, which gives me zero thoughts about this.
I love that their first, like, relatively important games with AZR are qualifiers for Melbourne.
Yeah, I think they have to make Melbourne. Just to let AZR go home now for a minute.
Yeah, you imagine, I finally got the move to Europe I've waited for ages. What's my first event? It's in Melbourne. Fantastic.
They're playing against Fours right now. They're on map 3. It's 1-1. They took the first map. They lost the second map. I mean, Fours is a good team. I mean, Jerry's on this team, so Fours will just
Fours are always, they're always there or thereabouts, because Jerry just finds players and he finds straw and turns it into gold. I don't know how he keeps doing it.
So yeah, this move happened. We have no other statements, and this move happened. I think we're both on the page.
I'm skeptical, but I will give Sprout the benefit of the doubt because I've never heard of Stare and I've never heard of Laux, and they're both very good. So they clearly know something that I don't.
Okay. Let's talk about the big quick fire story.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see in Logan's room, there's a massive elephant we've been avoiding.
Yeah. It's actually a panda, but that's its own matter.
Oh, that is adorable.
It's a little mechanical key switch. It's great. It's from Glorious. Okay. Big elephant in the room. Sources. Yes, Counter-Strike 2 is real, and it's round the corner. Byline, Richard Lewis. Okay, so first of all, let's start with, we're not doing a big story on this. We're going to talk about this for like 5 minutes at most, okay? We are both on the same page, because we recorded this part of the podcast yesterday. We are both on the same page that we don't care about Source 2 until 2 conditions are met. 1, it fucking comes out.
And 2, it changes something.
And 2, it changes something. And actually, realistically, 3, it gets introduced into actual esports.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested even when it's not in esports because I play enough Counter-Strike.
We're not interested in the esports terms until it's an esport. So
if Counter-Strike Global Offensive is so good, why is there not a Counter-Strike Global Offensive 2? And it turns out there just is.
There just is.
So it must be really good.
So, quick timeline. As per usual, rumor mill exists. As per usual, baiting on the internet exists. Just over a week ago on March 1st, which was Wednesday, Thursday, someday. It was Wednesday. On Wednesday last week, we got a tweet from some guy named like Gabe Follow or some shit. Basically, NVIDIA drivers came out, and in the NVIDIA drivers, there was a project with some exe files called CSGO S2 and CS2.exe, and they were both under the app ID for Counter-Strike. That got people going. Later that day, we got some other stuff, and basically stuff started filtering out a little bit, and then we got this, which is the Richard Lewis article that takes 20 minutes to read because there's a lot of information in here. Valve changed their Twitter banner. There's been a bunch of stuff. Here's your important information. Your skins are safe, if you cared. Supposedly, everything's moving to either 120 tick or tickless, which is better than 64 tick, and I'm not going to bore everyone with the actual technical information now, but note that it is better than 64 tick. We're supposed to move to the Source 2 engine, obviously. And as far as we know, there shouldn't be any huge game-breaking things.
I think they might just call the game Counter-Strike, because people just keep doing the Counter-Strike full stop thing.
Yeah.
And they're really leaning into that. I think that might just be, I don't know. I think they might just call it Counter-Strike.
There's one more bit I want to talk about from this, which is the CSGO API came out yesterday, which this is not Source 2 directly related, but it could be, which for some reason in the item API, it shows how much they paid for the maps recently. So Anubis and Tuscan, the devs were each paid 150 grand. Which is...
Wait, look, people are balking at that figure. I think that's nothing.
I don't think that's nothing, but I'm a little surprised it's not more.
Well, look, do you see how much they make from cases per month?
Oh, yeah. I know.
150 grand is nothing.
So here's the bits that I actually care about here. Is that they paid for Tuscan, which seems kind of mundane.
Wasn't that a thing that everyone knew?
Well, no. My bit is not that they paid for Tuscan, right? My bit is that they recently paid for both of these maps, and if they had known that they were going into Source 2, that they'd put these maps into Source 1 and then move them to Source 2 to prep them for launch.
They now have the rights to move it into Source 2 as well, though, don't they? They now own the rights to the map. They can do what they want.
They can do what they want, including moving it into the next engine and prepping it for that kind of stuff.
I think it's actually quite interesting. It's a one-time payment.
Yeah.
They paid the same amount for Anubis, which is in the current map pool, as they did for Tuscan, and there's no I thought there might be some installments. If it's played at a major, you get maybe they pay 50 grand for Tuscan, and then you get an extra 200 grand if it's in the map pool and it's played at a major, something like that.
We don't know there may be more in the deal, right? It
exclusively says one-time payment, which makes me think it is just a.
This may be the one-time payment. I mean, think about it in contracts in the NBA or elsewhere that there's guaranteed money, like a signing bonus, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So this may be that. I don't pretend to know how the inside of Valve works because, fuck me, I'm not inside of Valve.
No.
So I
think people inside Valve don't really know how it works either.
Very valid thing. Yeah. TLDR, Source 2 doesn't seem to right now change a huge amount of things.
I would have assumed it was a joke and it wasn't real, and it was an April Fool's joke if Richard Lewis hadn't said. Richard Lewis doesn't fucking lie.
Yeah.
He doesn't get much wrong, but when he does, it's not because he's lied.
Yeah. He's got sources. Read the article. It's a good article. So last week we did a clip of the week. This week we have a meme of the week because there weren't many good clips this week. Yeah. So meme of the week this week. Regin, coach of Endpoint, has his 1-year-old on his lap, and the 1-year-old accidentally did bans, and vetoed Endpoint's Inferno, which was normally their pick, and let through Nuke, which the other team picked, which was their permaban, which is just hilarious. Regin replied to this with, "I asked ESL to update their rulebook. Hint, don't sit with your 1-year-old during veto. We will not redo it."
Yeah. It's hard to blame ESL on this one, I'll be honest.
Nope.
Yeah. It's kind of adorable, but...
Yeah. Endpoint ended up losing Nuke 8-16.
Funny that.
Yeah.
They didn't get a single T round as well.
Nope.
They got 8 CT rounds. You're like, yeah, okay, it's not great, but, we don't play this map. Now they should get on the T0 rounds.
Yeah.
Which is to be expected. They don't practice it. They probably barely know smokes.
Yeah, they probably know some because, they pub.
Yeah, they'll know some, but, they won't really know them.
All right, let's talk about the main story, which is ESL Pro League. Here's your quick information on what happened in Group B. What we said last week, all of that happened exactly with one addendum.
Yeah, well, I think it's multiple addendums.
Well, it's one addendum that applies to multiple teams.
Well, I think we said we had no idea what would happen between Mouse and FURIA, but whatever happened, we'd be like, oh yeah, we should have predicted that. Mouse 2-0'd them, and I was like, oh yeah, that was really obvious. But it wasn't.
Yeah. That would be the first addendum, and we have more to talk about FURIA in a minute. But the bigger addendum is anything we said previously about complexity, just erase the word complexity from your mind and write Movistar Riders.
No, I'm not going to pretend I ever thought Movistar Riders were good, because even though spoilers, they got through. Even though they got through, I still don't think they're very good. I think Big are just horrible. I've never seen a Big team look so lost on the T side as they did versus FURIA. They map 3 going into T side of Inferno. They needed 8 rounds to win on T side Inferno, which is the way it's played at the moment between good teams. 7, 8, 9 T rounds is simple. Teams get 10 or 11 on T sides at top level. You should be getting 9. I think Big got 3 or 4. It was awful. I've never seen a Big team look so bad on the T side, look so unstructured, and I think it's partially because Hyped doesn't know how to play in their system the same way Citizen does. He is a lot more aggressive. He likes a repeak. He likes, to be a bit more aggressive. He doesn't want to do the sorts of boring roles that Citizen did at times and was very good at. Tabson doesn't look like the same player. I think he came in as their lowest rated player in the last few months, and I think he had multiple games where he just didn't look on it. And that's, again, probably because he's not suited to the system at the moment. The system is breaking a bit, and that's not helping him. This is the worst Big team on the T side I've seen in a long, long time, and I think I would be worried if I was a Big fan. Thankfully, I'm not.
Yeah, Tabson is one of the last of a dying breed of fragging IGLs that we've ever had. He's one of the last ones that is really still in there. And he's just, it looks like it's going by the wayside at the moment, and I'd assume it's not a momentary thing, that this is more, I assume it is a momentary thing, not a more of a permanent thing. But time will tell. He was one of their lowest rated players at the event. It didn't look good. And Tabson is one of the IGLs, we've talked about this before, that kind of calls around himself to a degree, because he's a really good player.
Well, he tends to throw grenades, which means he ends up being one of the last alive because he's a good clutcher. But a lot of IGLs don't throw grenades because they run in first and make space for their team. Tabson isn't that player. I think Keto is usually their point man on execute. But I'd have to rewatch a demo.
Yep. Yeah. Movistar Riders on their own. Lost to Heroic at the beginning. Won against Complexity, who just did not look anywhere close to being the same Complexity that we saw at Katowice.
This is what Complexity look like when Hulzerg doesn't win 15 clutches an event.
Yeah.
It's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
Shout out Harry, Nero, Richards. His point.
Our bet, at least the one that I made yesterday, is that the real Complexity is somewhere in between what we saw at this event and what we saw at Katowice. I don't have a great. They're a middling tier 1 team. I don't think I don't think that they are as bad as they have been in prior months, but I also don't think that Kato form is sustainable. I think they're somewhere in between.
But we're also talking about a team who didn't get through the group stage of Katowice. We talk about this form not being sustainable. They didn't make playoffs.
Yeah.
The bar has moved so low that we're talking about, they can't repeat the incredible form of an event they went out in groups of.
Okay.
It's like, I know what you mean, because they were a hell of a lot better at Katowice and they won some big games, but they still didn't make playoffs. They lost to outsiders and didn't make it through. And that was with Hulzerg in like God mode. Somehow, like, Hulzerg was just like winning clutches he can't win. And he won't win in the future. And like, I mean, Grim was fantastic in that event, but you know, they talked about he's got 120 hours in the last 2 weeks. You can't. I mean, you can, but most people aren't going to play 120 hours every 2 weeks, even if they're a pro player. Like, there's so much traveling you need to do. You need time to relax. You need time away from the game. Like, that was Complexity almost at their peak, and it was fun, but they still didn't make playoffs. It can't go unnoticed. They should have lost to Imperial as well.
Yeah.
Their one win was against Imperial. Imperial choked, I think, 3 match points in regulation. And then at 18-17, JT's in a 1v4 outside monster. It's unwinnable. And Imperial just let him in. He kills all 4 of them and wins the round. And they win that event and stay alive. And you're like, okay, maybe they can kick on from here. And then they just capitulate again and just lose to big. And you're like, well, their one win they didn't really deserve. They should have lost it twice.
Yep. I have no more comment on Complexity here. I need to see something, but like in multiple events in a row that looks roughly the same, right? And this shouldn't be it. We've said this a million times. I said this when this team was formed like a year and a half ago at this point. Like, this team is floppy. It has Fang. It has Grim. That should be enough.
It should be enough to be better than Movistar Riders.
Yeah, but somewhere in here,
if you start listing good Movistar Riders players, you stop after the name Movistar Riders.
All right. We want to talk about one more team here, which is FURIA. They made it through.
Messy.
But they don't look like FURIA.
They're going to capitulate sometime soon. I don't know when it will be, but they're going to have an event where they completely bomb out and they're going to change a player.
Yeah, if you look at... So this is one of those things that you actually have to watch the games, which I know is terrifying. But if you just look at the scores, right, you see FURIA 2-0 Imperial. They lose to Mao's 0-2, which, as we said last week, as we said earlier, happens. FURIA 2-1 Movistar, which, in retrospect, Movistar taking the map off them, not the worst. And then they 2-1 Big, which, okay. But if you actually watch any of these, FURIA just looked like a different team and not at all in a good way. They had like just a Queserado diff.
I think Safe went absolutely mental against Big as well.
Yeah, Safe and Queserado just had a really good tournament so far that kind of carried the rest of the team.
But the team does not look in form at all. Art is just dying. Like, he's always had a tendency to just overextend and die. To put it nicely. But now he is just dying. Like, he's just dying for no reason all the time. And I'm sure in his mind there's some justification, there's some reason for it. Maybe there is. Maybe he's fucking 3,000 IQ, gigabrain genius. But what I see is a guy who is just dying without anyone in position to trade him. And then KS Arato just getting 3 kills and they win the round. And it's like, KS Arato in this form should be winning events.
Yeah. It's only a matter of time until either they remove Art and some of the other pieces on this team to build something around KS Arato, or KS Arato does what coldzera did and leaves.
They need to cryogenically freeze KS Arato and just when the other players figure out what they're doing, you unfreeze him so he's just back in god tier form. Because this form will not last. He can't be this good forever.
No. We weren't sure if he was going to be good for this long.
Yeah.
But apparently. Yeah. Let's talk about Group C, which is the group that's currently going on. Yesterday, which was Wednesday, the first day of Group C, was a day of 0-2s and 2-0s. FaZe beat Rooster 2-0. Pain lost to NIP 0-2. And OG beat 0-0 Nation 2-0. And Greyhound lost to Vitality 0-2. I'm not as excited about this group because
it's kind of boring.
The problem is FaZe is the only team that I kind of sort of trust here right now.
Yeah, everyone else has a stand-in or is bad.
Yeah, so FaZe, full roster, normal, fine. Rooster, kind of bad. I don't know why they put both Oceania teams in this group, because they put Greyhound in this group, but sure, fuck it, whatever. Pain, not really very good right now. NIP playing with a stand-in.
Pain in theory are okay. Their real problem is that they're Nekias and Hardzao were just not good enough to play at this level. And I know they're the 4th and 5th players, so it's not really an issue, but it kind of is an issue because they just aren't good enough.
They need to have they need to have a hand and a brain, and they don't have enough of that to be.
It feels like Pain have 2 guys with brains, 2 guys with hands, and then 1 guy with both. And at the top level, you just need 5 players with both, or at least 4 players with both.
At least 4. I mean, yeah.
You could have 1 idiot or 1...
Or one armless, just
armless genius.
Yeah. I mean, Liquid does it with Nitro.
Yeah.
There's actually multiple teams I can think of that have 4 players that are good and 1 player with just half a brain.
Yeah.
Art, right off the top of my head.
Yeah, except he has no brain.
Seems to work sometimes. OG 0-0 Nation. OG has a sub for Nexa. Nico is playing for them. 0-0 Nation has N9ZXT.
I believe it's probably just said Nex.
Sure.
Which is still quite difficult to say.
Which is instead of Taco. Greyhound is from OS.
It feels really disrespectful because but Greyhound got 9 rounds against Vitality in 2 maps. What are you supposed to say?
Vitality.
It seems quite disrespectful to just say, "Oh yeah, they're from Oceania, so they've got no chance." But they are from Oceania, and they do have no chance. So it's not entirely incorrect.
Vitality may be the only other team I have faith in, and I'm just gonna rattle off some numbers here because this is disgusting. So Jax was the stand-in for Vitality for Dupree, as Dupree's on maternity leave. Aizyesque in their 2-0 against Greyhound was a 1.12, Spinks 1.25, Apex 1.29, and I don't think Apex has ever had a rating that high.
Not since about 2015.
Jax, the stand-in, 1.63, and ZywOo with a 1.9. Now, again,
group stage ZywOo is group stage ZywOo is amazing. The problem is he's not always this good in playoffs. The group stage ZywOo is a flat track fucking bully.
But yeah, ZywOo, real good today.
Did you see one of the Greyhound players, I can't remember which, just tweeted, "Who the fuck is that ZywOo guy?" after they got battered. Yeah,
no,
fair enough. But who the fuck is that ZywOo guy?
Respectable. Yeah, games happened today. Pain beat Rooster, which I could have probably expected, and Vitality beat OG, which I probably could have expected. ZywOo again sporting a 1.71 rating, which means his like
Yeah.
average rating is some shit like 1.79 or something like that.
Look, we took the piss out of Greyhound for getting 9 rounds against Vitality. OG only got 14. There's only 5 more rounds. They got fucking spanked as well. So it's not just because you're from Oceania that you got battered by Vitality. OG are European and they also got battered.
But yeah, this group is FaZe / Vitality's to lose. We're not bringing this kind of numbers up with FaZe because FaZe is a team of 4 aimbots and Karrigan. 3 aimbots and Karrigan and Rain.
Yeah, I mean, I actually do think FaZe is... It's a completely different discussion, but I do think FaZe's firepower is slightly overstated. They don't have any like top 10 players in the world. Like you could maybe argue one of Twist or Ops's, but
the problem is they don't have a top 10 player in the world, but they've got like 3 in the top 20.
Yeah, but then Cloud9 at one point had 3 in the top 20. They had 3 in the top 10, I think, the one year.
Yeah, but
Shiro, Exile, and Hobbit all hit top 10 at one point.
They have NA org debuff.
Yeah, clearly.
So this group, if we had to make guesses, it's very simple. It's a FaZe Vitality final here. NIP probably should make their way through.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? We go down the list. After FaZe Vitality, you need 2 more slots. Rooster, Pain, Nip, OG, Zero Nation, Greyhounds. I put my money on Nip and OG.
No. Number 1 tip of betting is never bet money on NIP. NIP, Tottenham Hotspur, you never bet on them. Never bet on them, never bet against them. Stay the fuck away from any games involving NIP or Tottenham Hotspur. You cannot win money.
Apparently, the Spurs players are so upset with their new team manager that they're calling for the old one back or some shit.
The fans are, yeah.
Yeah,
they want
no, apparently players are too. This is so off topic. This is so off topic.
Sorry, we were talking about NIP, so talking about Tottenham Hotspur is not really off topic.
Several Spurs players plead with Pac to return amid Conte doubts.
Yeah, that's they'll be pleading to Hampus to return in a week's time. No, I mean you can't really expect. I can't expect anything of NIP because they still have a stand-in.
Yeah, but I also look at the rest of the teams and go, Oceania X2, stand-in Brazilian team, and Pain.
Pain, where like Neck feels like a stand-in and has done for about 4 years.
So my choices aren't really that like.
Yeah, like it's really hard to say NIP should do anything. But if there's ever a group with the stand-in they should be getting out of, it's the one where everyone else has a stand-in, or is Australian,
or is FaZe.
Yeah,
like
even Vitality have a stand-in, and they're still like de facto second.
Yeah,
this group is the weakest group, I think.
This
this one's got Navi and Spirit and Liquid and Ents.
Yeah.
The best team in this group is Ents. Who's the 4th best team in Group C? It's OG with a stand-in.
Or OG, yeah, okay, respectable. Either way, that's Pro League season, whatever this is. That's our little update for the day. Our
Quick
normal,
check, make sure we haven't anything.
Normal Twitter check to make sure Source 2 hasn't come out. Great, lovely. Doesn't seem like it has. Oh, Olga has officially joined HSG female.
Wow.
6 minutes ago. So
I don't know what language they're going to speak. I know a couple of the HSG players speak English, but I don't think they all do.
We're going to have a larger conversation about this next week. Hopefully a lot more things fall into place in the next week. Because I don't expect this to be the only thing that happens. I'm gonna
ask around and ask some people about HSG to see what this, because this is an insane move.
Yeah, like, again, this is like, who's the second best player in the world right now? This is like Nico moving to like Tyloo for some fucking reason.
Yeah, it literally is like that. It's like if Nico moved to like Ents, or if Nico moved to Vitality.
Yeah,
it's like
no, Vitality's too good, but yeah,
HSG are like they're like. Okay, they're probably like 5th or 6th in the world, but I guess there's fewer teams.
Nico moving to OG or some shit
it's completely bonkers. But if OG spoke a completely different language to what Nico speaks,
yeah,
it's a really mental move. Olga's the second best player in the world, if not the best. She's clearly the best rifler in female Counter-Strike, women's Counter-Strike. It's a completely mad move.
We'll see how it works. But until that point, make sure to go look at the giveaway thing that's on Twitter. Beef, put a thing here that shows the giveaway. Thank you. So make sure you go follow us on Twitter at ReedTealder, at Logan and at Aizyesque. Make sure to interact with the giveaway to win some sort of SteelSeries Arctis headphone things or Nova head. I don't know what they're calling them at this point. Make sure to come back next week where we'll be back with Group D and whatever happens in the group of standings.